Here's a sentence that has probably cost more money in the last 2 years than any other sentence in software. Just build me the whole thing. You say it to an AI, and the AI does it. Clean variable names. Tidy indentation. Friendly little comments explaining everything. Then you run it and you get a white screen. And here's the part that should genuinely bother you. One analysis of code written with AI assistance found roughly 1.7 times as many major issues and 2.74 times as many security vulnerabilities. The tool got faster. The reviewer did not. And the reviewer, I'm afraid, is you. Welcome back. And look at the ground behind us. We started in the web's front yard, the front end. We climbed the back hill called the server. We traced the rugged ridges of deployment and security, then hauled ourselves onto the fog-wrapped plateau of machine learning, language models, retrieval, and agents. 8 regions. The whole terrain is in your head now. And right about here, somebody always raises a hand and asks the obvious question. So, am I supposed to memorize all of that and then hand type it one line at a time forever?
No.
The exact opposite. Today is the region where you put the map to work. Region 9. Vibe coding. First, the word itself, because it is absurdly young. Vibe coding entered the world on February 2nd, 2025, in a short post that a researcher named Andrej Karpathy tossed onto X, formerly Twitter. Not a paper, not a keynote, a post. He later admitted it was, and I'm quoting him, just a stray thought I had in the shower. That stray thought was viewed over 4.5 million times, and 9 months later it climbed into an authoritative dictionary and got named a word of the year. 9 months. That is faster than most companies onboard a new hire. But a young word does not mean a young technology. The pressure had been building for 4 solid years. The watershed was GitHub Copilot, announced on June 29, 2021, and early Copilot was, honestly, high-powered autocomplete. You wrote one comment line, and it filled in the code underneath. The engine was Codex, and the amount of text it could look at in one go was 2,048 tokens. 2,000. That's a genius with a desk the size of a postcard. From there it grew agentic, reading a whole project and editing across many files on its own. So the whole ridge is one arrow. Autocomplete to agent. Vibe coding is just the name tag somebody stapled onto the top of it. And about the man who stapled it there, because guy posts thing becomes dictionary entry only works if the guy is not a random guy. Andrej Karpathy. Stanford PhD under Fei Li, the mind behind ImageNet. Founding member of OpenAI. Then director of AI for Tesla Autopilot, reporting directly to Elon Musk, running computer vision for self-driving cars. So this is someone who spent years at the least forgiving code site on Earth, where a bug is not a white screen, a bug is a car. And he's the one who cheerfully tossed off, forget that the code even exists. That's why it detonated. A nobody shower thought does not make it into the dictionary.
So, what is it precisely?
Roughly this. You build software by telling a language model, make me something like this, running the result, telling it what's wrong, and running it again, instead of typing code line by line. 2 things at the core. You instruct in plain language, and you verify by actually running the thing. Karpathy's original definition was more extreme than that. His post described giving in fully to the vibes and forgetting that the code even exists. And he meant it. He was barely touching the keyboard at the time, coding by voice through a speech tool. His own description of the workflow is 4 verbs long. See stuff, say stuff, run stuff, copy, paste stuff. Hear that, and it sounds fantastic. So I just talk and the AI does everything? That, right there, is the exact spot where 99% of people drive off the cliff. Here's the analogy that makes it stick. You're putting up a building, and the AI is an absurdly fast, deeply skilled construction crew. Hand them a blueprint, and they raise the walls in a day. But the crew does not know what you want, or why this building needs to exist. So you say, make me a room, and they make you a windowless room, next to the bathroom, with a door that opens inward. Technically flawless. Absolutely not the room you wanted, which is why the architect, the reviewer, and the final decision maker are all still you. Two people drew the boundary lines around this word, and both are worth meeting. First, Simon Willison, co-creator of the web framework Django, and one of the sharpest tech bloggers alive. In May 2025, he drew a line that has held ever since. Even if a language model wrote every single line, if you reviewed it, tested it, and understood it, that is not vibe coding. That's using the model as a typing assistant. And he didn't stop at defining it. He publicly criticized two books with vibe coding in the title for misusing the term, because the responsible expert collaboration those books teach is precisely not vibe coding.
Picture that.
A man standing at the door of a word he helped build, checking everybody's ID on the way in. Second, Andrew Ng, founder of Google Brain, co-founder of Coursera, the literal face of deep learning education. His contribution is the reality check. He practices vibe coding enthusiastically. He also says the name is unfortunate because it makes people think programming now runs on pure intuition. His field report: vibe coding might look leisurely, but after a full day of coding with AI, honestly, he's exhausted.
Sit with that.
The most famous AI teacher on the planet finishes a day of talking to an AI and needs a lie down. And he flatly called the advice, "Don't bother learning to program. The AI will handle it," the worst career advice ever given. Karpathy named it. Willison guarded the meaning. Ng ran the reality check. All three ridges meet at the same summit.
Right. Gear.
You can glaze over in here like a first-timer in a hiking boot store, so let's mark just the two big forks. Fork 1 is Cursor. It takes a traditional code editor and lays AI on top of it. The file tree, the tabs, the code view you already know, with an AI chat panel bolted on beside them. It was built by a company called AnySphere in 2023. And here's the satisfying part. In October 2025, Cursor 2.0 unveiled Composer, their own model trained in-house with reinforcement learning. The very feature Karpathy pointed at when he said models had gotten too good has now stopped borrowing somebody else's brain and grown its own. Fork 2 is Claude code, and it has a completely different grain. Rather than a graphical screen, it lives in the terminal, the black command window. You type a goal, and it reads files, edits them, runs commands, and keeps rolling. It suits people who want to delegate several steps at once and let them run. Boil the difference down to one phrase, and it's the interaction style. The Copilot and Cursor lineage is autocomplete first. While you type, it suggests the next code in gray off to the side. The agent lineage is agent first. You toss it a goal, and it loops on its own across many files. Same principle underneath, different grain. Meaning, how long you personally keep your hands on the wheel. And those two aren't the only ones. Windsurf, similar grain. AI extensions bolted onto the editor you already have. The lovable and bolt crowd will whip up an entire app in your browser while you talk at it. The names keep multiplying, and a fair number quietly vanish. Which is why memorizing tool names is a waste of your evening. And here's the trap I watch beginners fall into constantly. They agonize for a solid week over which tool is best, comparison table open in 3 tabs, and never actually start. So let me save you the week. Tools differ in grain. The principle beneath them is identical. Lace up any pair and start climbing. Pick shoes long enough and the sun goes down. So, what is that shared principle? A 4-beat loop.
Plan.
Context. Execute.
Verify.
Plan what you're building and why. Hand the AI exactly the background it needs and nothing else. Have it build one piece. Then run the result and confirm it actually works, not that it merely looks like it works. That loop is the essence, and the tool is just the shoes you circle it in. We'll spend the rest of this half on plan and context. Then the entire second half is execute and verify, because that's where the money is. And more to the point, where the bodies are. Beat 1. Plan. And I want you awake for this stretch, because it earns its keep more than any other minute of this lecture. Here's the line beginners say to an AI most often. Build me a shopping cart feature. So the AI builds one. It builds the cart that it imagined, which is not the cart in your head. So you re-explain. It rebuilds. Still wrong. You re-explain again, and the whole time tokens are leaking out the sides, and tokens are time, and time is money. What you did there was tell your guide head north a bit, without ever mentioning a destination. So, here's the key insight. An AI does far better when it understands the why than the what. Not build me a cart. Instead, I want users to hold several items and check out at once, and people who aren't logged in have to be able to add items too. Say that, and the AI catches the missing pieces by itself. Knowing why, it fills the blanks sensibly. Not knowing why, it fills them with whatever. So, here's the habit professionals actually use. Before you let it write code, make it write a plan. Literally, don't write any code yet. First, show me a step-by-step plan. When I say okay, then proceed. Then you read it, and you spot it. Wait, it never mentioned guests. You just filtered out a wrong approach before a single character of code existed. Catch it at the blueprint stage, and you fix one line. Catch it after the walls are up, and you're demolishing. One more habit before we move on. When the plan looks good, say, save this as a file called plan.md. Pin it down. Because 40 messages later, when the AI has quietly forgotten the direction it agreed to, you can shove that document back at it and ask, are we still going by this plan? A signpost driven into the ground. And here's how seriously to take all this. In Y Combinator's Winter 2025 batch, 25% of the startups had 95% of their codebase generated by AI. A full quarter. That's not a fringe experiment. That is how the work is done now. And no, the secret of the surviving quarter wasn't handing themselves to the vibes and hoping. They ran the fastest construction crew in history off the clearest blueprint. Because here's the shadow, and this is the payoff to how we opened. Lovable, the tool that builds apps in your browser, was analyzed in May 2025. Of 1,645 generated web apps, 170 carried personal data exposure vulnerabilities. Plus that review analysis from the top of this lecture. 1.7 times the major issues, 2.74 times the security holes. The faster the tool, the more your job as reviewer matters. Which brings us to beat 2.
Context.
A model's context window, the amount of text it can hold in view at once, is not infinite. It's a finite resource. The AI is a genius with a small desk. It works off only what's set on that desk, and every new thing you lay down pushes something else off the edge. Desks have grown enormously since Copilot's 2,000 tokens. The point where a genius gets muddled has not gone anywhere. And here's the study that should change how you work this week. Chroma ran a context experiment across 18 frontier models. The finding: the longer a conversation runs, accuracy drops. Not on hard tasks, on dead simple ones. They call it context rot. Context literally going rotten. Your conversation has a shelf life, like milk, which gives a counterintuitive conclusion. Instead of cramming 3 features into one conversation across 40 messages, open a new conversation per feature, and you come out faster and more accurate. So, 3 habits for keeping the desk clean. 1. Pin your context in a config file. Re-explaining our build command is this: the folder structure is that. Run the tests like so in every conversation is madness. Write it once into a file at the project root. Claude Code reads a file called Claude.md automatically at the start of every session, and Cursor uses a rules file the same way. A map sheet permanently spread out at the trailhead. 2. When the task changes, open a new conversation and pin only the files that task needs. Everything else is noise. 3. Freeze your repeated prompts into a markdown file and call it up when needed. Claude Code supports these as skills. On a road you walk often, plan a signpost.
Right.
Mindset settled, gear chosen, desk clean. And every bit of that is still just a map in your head. Now we walk. This half is the most electric stretch in the whole book. Empty screen to a living thing on the internet that strangers can actually use. 0 to 1. And before we set off, meet 3 people who cut this trail, because every principle we're about to cover, they discovered the hard way back when none of these tools existed. Their stories are small, slightly ridiculous, and they contain the whole method. Labor Day weekend, 1995. Pierre Omidyar sat at home, alone, and wrote the code for an auction site. He called it Auction Web and posted it on his personal homepage. It later became eBay. The first item ever sold on what became the world's largest online auction house was the broken laser pointer sitting on his own desk. It went for $14.83. And Omidyar, being a decent person, emailed the buyer to make sure there was no misunderstanding.
You do know it's broken, right?
And the buyer wrote back that he was a collector of broken laser pointers. No grand plan. No team, no funding, no launch strategy. One minimal working thing put on the internet. And a man who collects broken laser pointers. Around 2008, Drew Houston took it further. Before his product existed in any usable form, he released a single demo video, 3 or 4 minutes long, that made it look like files were syncing between computers. There was no product. And the beta waitlist jumped from around 5,000 people to 75,000 overnight. That's Dropbox. And it didn't go viral by luck. He tuned the video to the sensibilities of Hacker News and Dig, planting inside jokes and a clickbait title to engineer the spread. Eric Ries later fixed this story into the Lean Startup as the flagship case of the minimum viable product. Don't ask the market after you've built everything. Ask first with the minimum. Then, 2014, Pieter Levels turned the pattern into the emblem of the solo era. A self-taught Dutch developer, formerly a techno DJ, who publicly declared he'd ship 12 startups in 12 months. Not 12 prototypes. 12 finished sites that could take payments. And one of them, Nomad List, did not begin as an app. It began as a single Google spreadsheet posted to Twitter, asking people to help fill in city data. Within 24 hours, about 100 strangers had typed data into his spreadsheet, and he wrote that he was, quote, a little stunned. That reaction was the signal, and the product grew out of it. 40-plus businesses later, from a single laptop, with no investors and no office. It started as a spreadsheet. Look at the shared grammar of those 3. Build the minimum. Ship it fast. Let the reaction decide what happens next. And in our era, the cost of that first step has collapsed. So the bottleneck has moved. The question is no longer, can you build it? It's, can you hold the rhythm of shipping, checking, and refining? So here's the rhythm, and the bottom line may sting. Code and AI produces guarantees exactly one thing, that it looks plausible. That's the entire warranty. Then you run it and you get a white screen, or some perfectly good feature next to it quietly dies along with it. It looked like a treat. You bit in and it was a rock. Because an AI is optimized to produce text that looks like the right answer, not to verify that it runs on this machine. And here's where the real trap hides, piling up a heap of changes and only running everything at the very end. Hand the AI 5 things in a row, fire up the app, and it's broken. Which of the 5 did it? When 5 changes are tangled together, your suspect list isn't 5. It's every combination of them. So the field habit is embarrassingly simple. 1 change. Run it immediately. See it with your own eyes. Next change. Say you're building a sign-up screen. Slice it. 1. Put the email and password field on the screen, then refresh and confirm they're there. 2. Make the sign-up button print whatever was typed into the console, then click it and confirm the values print. And notice what step 2 buys you. If the values don't print, the culprit is exactly one thing: the button code you just added. One maxim for the rest of your career: don't trust,
verify.
When an AI is wrong, it hands you the wrong code in exactly the same confident tone. Confidence is not evidence of accuracy. So trustworthiness isn't something the code arrives with. It's something you manufacture through procedure. And the most powerful procedure is separation of concerns. Let one session write the code and have a different, fresh session review it. Because the side that wrote the code is trapped inside its own assumptions. Grade your own paper and you sail straight past your own blind spot. A blank slate session asks the awkward question: what happens if the input is empty? Doesn't this blow up? It's the same reason you never let the author proofread the book. Now, something almost every beginner has backwards. Error messages are signposts, not enemies. Red text appears and your stomach drops, but that red text is the computer telling you with precision, this line, for this reason, cannot continue. No hiker sees a signpost and panics. You read it. So the debugging loop turns like this. Copy the whole message, all of it, not the fragment you thought looked important. Paste it and say, first explain what this error means and why it happened. Do not jump to fix it. Fix without knowing the cause, and you've covered the symptom while the disease sits there resting. And if the same error comes back 3 times, stop fixing and go find the root cause. Going in circles isn't a signal to dig harder. It's a signal you took a wrong turn. 3 verification instincts you can use this afternoon, none of which require you to read a line of code. Run small units. Chop the feature fine and confirm one piece at a time. Plant logs. At the suspicious spot, have it print what the value actually is. Just seeing how far it got and what's really in that variable locates half your bugs. And poke the edges. Feed it an empty field, an absurdly long input, a negative number, a 0. Code that only survives normal values falls over the first time a real user types something slightly crooked. And they will.
Users are magnificent at this.
Even if you can't read the code, once running it, printing it, and poking it are second nature, you're a fully functioning verifier. It isn't expertise. It's habit. Now the whole route, from empty folder to launch. And the first signpost isn't code. It's a document. After a long brainstorm with the AI, you distill the conclusion into one file called brief.md. For things sharp is enough. What you're building in one sentence. Who it's for. Which few features belong in the first version. And the vibe in one line. Then the route flows. Write the brief. Have the AI plan first. Implement one feature at a time. Test immediately on every change. Verify in a different session. Run a pre-launch check. Deploy. Steps 3 through 5 repeat for every feature. And the pre-launch check is 2 things. Security. Secrets pulled out of the code. Input validated. Permissions enforced at the database. And cost. What one user's AI usage bills you if it runs away. Finally, the 4 bogs, because every vibe coder falls into all of them at least once. Trap 1, context overload. Cram everything into one session, and the AI remembers its earlier words hazily. The rope, when the task changes, new conversation. Trap 2, stacking without tests. Changes pile up unchecked until it collapses, and you can't tell where it broke. The rope, one change, one check. Trap 3, blind trust. An invisible bug sits quietly buried until it detonates in a user's hands. The rope, don't trust, verify. Trap 4, no plan. Just build the whole thing however you see fit, and the AI builds something plausible and wrong. The rope, the brief comes before the code. And all 4 collapse into one identity. They're all haste, which is the paradox of this region. Skip steps to go faster, and you go slower. Let's tie it together. First half, the mindset. Vibe coding is a young word sitting on an old ridge. Autocomplete to agent. The AI is a fast, brilliant construction crew that will absolutely build you a windowless room next to the bathroom if your instructions permit it. So the architect, the reviewer, and the decision maker are all still you. Tools differ only in grain, so stop shopping and start climbing. And underneath every tool, the same 4 beats. Plan, by leading with the why instead of the what, and making it show you the plan before it writes a line. Context, by keeping the genius's desk clean and opening a new conversation when the task changes. Because a conversation, like milk, has a shelf life. Second half, the walk. Code that looks plausible has told you nothing about whether it works, so lay the bridge every time. One change, run it, see it, next change. Don't trust, verify, and let a fresh session review what another session wrote, because nobody proofreads their own typos. Read the error instead of flinching at it. Ask for the cause before the fix, and when you loop 3 times, go back to the root. Then the route. Brief first, plan second, one feature at a time. Check at every step, review elsewhere, pre-launch security and cost, and out the door. And remember what Omidyar, Houston, and Levels all knew. Launch is not the end of building. It's the start of learning. A weekend of code. A video. A spreadsheet. That's how big things actually begin. Everything in this lecture comes from Region 9 of a book called the AI Development Atlas. It's built on one idea. In the age of AI, the person who commands the tool is not the one who memorized the most syntax. It's the one who knows the terrain and can point at the map and say, precisely, the problem is right here. 10 regions from the front end all the way to AI transformation, each one drawn as terrain you can actually walk. It's $24. It comes as an EPUB plus a 561-page PDF, and it's available right now. The link is in the description below. And that's Region 9 complete. You hold the map, and you've now run a full loop of exploration with your own hands. Next time we climb one ridge higher. Because knowing how one person wields a tool well is not the end of the story. Region 10 is AX, where an entire organization and an entire product get redesigned with AI as the premise rather than the feature. It's the final region, and it's the one that changes what your work is for. If this was useful, subscribe, and I'll see you on the last trail. DK Corporation know the terrain. Command the tools.